Hey, it's that guy conservatives hated until his brain stopped working. It was great to hear from the honorable senator of Tel Aviv. It's genuinely hard to watch Fetterman speak. Anyways, it's perfect timing because I wanted to watch the Jon Stewart thing. Okay, content warning. I'm putting the ogre on the screen. Okay. I apologize for what I'm about to do to all of you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Weekly Show podcast on this summer day, August 4th, Tuesday, primary day, election day. Hear ye, hear ye. I voted sticker. That was my one-man show called Primary Day, which happens in August, which, as you know, is great for turnout. We don't know, actually, what happened in those. We're taping this podcast before the results are in. So by the time you hear it, you will know the results of all the hot primaries in Michigan and everywhere else. And it'll look like we don't and that we're ignoring it. But we're not ignoring it, people. I'm not a time traveler. But we are going to be talking to somebody who has very strong opinions about what should happen in this very primary season. And he doesn't know the results of it either. So we're going to be talking about elections and the results of elections and what those elections might mean for people, all while ignoring the results of said elections, which might make us seem crazy. But there's probably so much more in this conversation that's going to make it seem crazy. So let's just get to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get right to it. We have
The best thing about Jon Stewart's career is that it led to John Oliver getting a show. So true.
Today, a senator, United States Senator for the great state of Pennsylvania. Go fight and
Sorry, I have to look at the spoilers. That is the YouTube comments.
Quakers. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator John Fetterman. Sir, first of all, where's Senator Fetterman? All I see is
the second most upvoted comment. No, the most upvoted comment. The conversation between Jon Stewart and AIPAC. Hey, it's that guy conservatives hated until his brain stopped working. It was great to hear from the honorable senator of Tel Aviv. It's genuinely hard to watch Fetterman speak. Painful to watch. Never been so relieved to hear ad breaks before.
is a guy wearing a suit and tie. So
yeah, this is not AI. It's not AI.
Hey, who you calling Pinhead Larry?
If I could AI impose a suit, I would. But no, yeah, I'm in a suit. But yeah, normally
you have a job interview today?
I thought, wait, I'm already in it, so maybe I could just be a treat for everybody.
I feel terrible now.
Yeah.
I thought, well,
yeah, and I'm sorry if you dressed in honor, you might on a business casual like this.
So how are things?
It's giving Ethan Klein.
Going down there, do you like being a senator? Is that that something that that an enjoyable job, or is it just you sit around just fighting with everybody? What's the vibe down there?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a mixed thing. I mean, it's obviously an honor to be one of Pennsylvania's voice here in the United States Senate, and it's also some of it's professional wrestling, not really kind of important stuff. But some of it's very important as well, too. And that's really why people, I assume, get into this to be a part of that conversation. So overall, but I think I've said this, people would be surprised. It's not exactly really glamorous. And now, like for me, I have a 300 square apartment here in DC back there.
Look at you.
It's not like, there's not a lot of snappy, West Wing kind of dialogue back and forth thing. Right. A lot of it's more kind of like,
Are you sure that that's accurate, or is that just your opinion? You're not following what's happening.
Kind of a thing, but sometimes it is really important thing that will impact a lot of millions and millions of Americans.
Are you guys going to have your recess in August, or are they keeping you there?
As far as I know. Last night there was an overwhelming bipartisan procedural vote last night for a continuing resolution. And I think it was 89-4.
Can I guess the four?
Yeah, no
okay.
shutdown. No shutdown. Yeah.
Rand Paul.
Yeah, well, of course, he votes no on like he would be like Cheeseburger and he would vote that shit down. I mean,
Right.
but yeah, and then I think it was
What?
Warren.
You would be like Cheeseburger, and then you would vote that down. What? Maybe that's a saying that I don't know about. That you would be like Cheeseburger.
And then I think Sanders. But overall, some people didn't go there because it was a travel day. But that's a strong statement saying that we want to avoid another shutdown. And I'm elated to know that without a doubt. I mean, we've been through the two longest
Why is Jon Stewart interviewing Ethan Klein is crazy.
shutdowns of all American history. And that maybe at some time put me at odds with my party because it's always a bad thing to shut our government down. And it shuts down parts of critical of our country. And it also punishes a lot of these workers. Now, everyone here in Congress are paid, but the people that aren't are like the people on the front line, like at TSA and doing those things. So overall, we have to find a better way to figure out things without shutting our down in kind of a tantrum.
Without shutting it down. This is elder abuse. Delete it now. Stop.
How at odds are you with the party? You know, you said it sometimes puts you at odds. You're the guy everybody points to now as you're in the, I guess, mansion or cinema role, the kind of contrarian. So what's your relationship now with that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And no, I mean, it's not that at all. I mean, I deeply respect them as well too, but I'm not that. I think it's like an easy take to assume that, and that's just not me. If you look at my voting record, I'm in 90% voting the Democrat line. And now how I differ is, and that's become much more and more pronounced, is Israel, after 10/7, the gods of war, and nobody really saw how things would continue. We wouldn't be part of it. Now here we have at the Iranian war now, and then in smaller other kinds of way, shutting our government down.
Dude, it's so bad. It's so bad. This feels like elder abuse, man.
Countless kinds of vote to shut our government down. I would vote with the Republican side, not because I'm a Republican, but just the Democratic Party, we used to always be the party that says we must never shut our government down. That was part of what the Democratic Party really was. And I represent Pennsylvania, really the most purple state really in the country. And now I don't represent just Democrats. I represent all people here in Pennsylvania. So these views are firmly rooted in basic kinds of democratic values. But after the Trump re-election, that just kind of flipped some things on its head.
And do you attribute that to, what they call Trump derangement syndrome? Do you believe that the Democratic Party in those instances is suffering?
I agree. It is a real thing. And that makes it more difficult to try to call balls and strike. And now, I'm aware that if I happen to disagree with like the party.
Is that a saying? Balls and strike? Balls and stripe? Balls in strike? I don't know anything about sports. I don't know what sport it's supposed to be. Is it strike or stripe? Balls and strike. I say it every day. Okay, balls and strikes is a real saying. It's supposed to be strikes plural. I heard balls in stripe. Baseball saying. Okay. That makes sense. Yes, Trump derangement syndrome is real.
Line, there's a price to pay, but I think it's more important to be, hey, I honestly think this is the right take, and I think what's appropriate. And no, there's a lot of stories of how I've become increasingly more unpopular with Democrats in my state, and I'm aware of it. But these were all very specific choices because I think, this is the correct take. And now I would rather have people know what I happen to believe because
I would rather people know that I stand with genocide. I want people to know that.
again, they're rooted in very democratic kinds of values.
Well, let me sort of, so let's tease that out a little bit, because in America right now, the Republicans have the Senate, the House, the judiciary,
They have the trifecta.
Supreme Court, and they have the presidency.
Yeah.
Democrats represent, it's a pretty 50-50 country, wouldn't you say? I mean, we're, right now, at least, Democrats are represented by, millions and millions and millions of votes, but they don't really have, the way that the Republicans have governed, any say in anything. And so wouldn't you say that trying to use any leverage that they possibly could have to get things like reforms to ICE agents that don't seem to be trained, that are creating violence in the streets of America, that aren't going after the worst of the worst, but are frightening hardworking immigrants into staying in their homes? Don't you think that's a legitimate reason to try and leverage whatever opportunity they would have? TDS seems like a convenient excuse for a lot of legitimate concerns.
Yeah, well, the only actual tool and the only actual real leverage that Democrats have, that's the filibuster, 100%. And I just had an op-ed in the Washington Post, and I was trying to remind America and Democrats specifically that we, including me, we were so wrong about scrapping the filibuster back in the 2022 cycle. Now, we all ran on that.
You guys can trust him. It's not like he's ever been wrong about anything else.
And we all were committed to eliminate the filibuster. And if we were successful, we may have passed some things back in 22, but 100% in January of 2024 or 2025, they would have been able to run the table, 100% run the table. And if anyone that's listening have been horrified or troubled by a lot of legislation being proposed, that would have been amateur hour compared to how they would have been able to remake our society, because they would have had the trifecta. Trump was at the apex of his power, and they could have passed and done everything. And if the Senate was working on basic majority like the House, we would have rendered ourselves as essentially a smaller version of the House, and they would have been able to remake our society.
Wouldn't you say they have remade our society, by using gimmicks like reconciliation, by using executive power in ways that hadn't been used before? Haven't they done that already?
Yeah, well, a lot of those executive orders were just overturned or stopped by the courts. And now I know I kind of got whacked when I said, well, what is a real constitutional crisis? That's when the president is going to defy, court orders. And because
But he did. Is he saying that he called out Trump or something?
it doesn't describe the solution in the Constitution, that's a crisis. And as far as I know, that the president hasn't defied a single court.
Stop. This is not a real interview. This is not a real interview. This is a fake interview pushed by the fake media. Trump has not defied a single court order is incredible. This walking vlog camera is crazy stuff. The first ever sentient vlog camera. Well, barely sentient.
Order. Now, a lot of noise, but he hasn't defied any
Jon Stewart being like, well.
specific ones. And that's the way the system's supposed to work.
Well, he has. I mean, he's defied court orders and congressional law. I mean, just even in the TikTok case, you guys voted that had to be divested, and he ignored that. He just didn't do it. And then he handed a pretty powerful social media tool to his friends, the Ellisons and other people. I guess that's my point, is
John Fetterman controlling himself to say, I'm feeling a lot of anti-Semitism in your statement.
I understand you're saying there are certain norms or things that you don't want Democrats to do. But given the legitimate concerns that people have about executive overreach, these
Sure,
types
absolutely, that's a real thing. But
of course.
yeah, but I'd like to revisit this idea, the
Sure.
filibuster, the Democratic Party, and I am part of it, and I was definitely part of that to limiting the filibuster, how dangerous that was if we.
So we're just going to ignore that. We're going to ignore that completely? Okay. Sorry. You know what? Sorry. My bad. My bad. You went on this whole tirade about how Democrats are hallucinating Trump disobeying the Constitution and disobeying court orders. And then when you were given an example of him doing that, you're like, well, yeah, it is dangerous, but yeah. Oh, okay. My orange cat has more brain cells than this ogre of a senator. Chatter, are you good? I think this chatter is struggling with sarcasm. Are you good, buddy? Wait, she's pro-Hamas genociding Israel? She said she's pro-genocide. I was sarcastically making fun of John Fetterman because John Fetterman is pro the genocide of the Palestinian people if it means he gets to give Israel $1 trillion. So it's not fake news anymore because you called out the ignoring court order claim. What? I'm being sarcastic. When I said this is fake news and I was laughing my ass off, that was sarcasm. Just assume this stream is a lot of sarcasm, little buddy.
We were successful, and they would have been able to pass every single, wish list, on the Republican playbook. And now we would have been a whim of the political extremism, and they'd be able to pass everything. The only thing that we've ever stopped, Save America Act.
Yeah, that's the only thing the filibuster has actually done.
Yeah.
In fact, you've played kind of a role in getting their nominees going. You've been kind of the contradictory vote from the Democrats to get him some pretty controversial appointees. I'm just curious because the filibuster seems like it hasn't.
Have you seen Abdul's grandparents' ad? No, I haven't. Can you link it?
Really stopped them from getting the people that they want, getting unqualified people into the cabinet, into the Department of Justice.
Yeah, I mean, and many of them I didn't vote for. And if you're going to bring up Blanche, I'm not going to vote for him as well too. There's some that I would vote for, and then there's many that I haven't because that it's just I don't believe that's the kind of right person for the job. Overall,
taking a stand against Todd Blanche is really funny as John Fetterman.
Well, I really try to call balls and strikes. I do think, like, for example, Mayorkas, he did a terrible job. He was never should be impeached. He didn't break the law. Incompetence, is not, for impeachment. But overall, trying to describe an honest assessment that as a Democrat from Pennsylvania, that's been my role. And if you look at my voting record, I haven't changed these core things like pro-choice. I don't turn our back on the gay or trans community in America, and very, very pro-immigration, very, very pro-union. All of those kind of boilerplate kinds of Democratic
That's not true.
issues that hasn't changed. So that's where we're at. And now you talk about ICE, absolutely. Like I called for Noam, she has to go, and now we brought in a new leader now. I've said this, deport all of the criminals, 100% deport all of them. I hope we could all
I love immigration. Deport all of the criminals.
agree on those things. We need to secure our border. We do need to secure our border. And then I've said, do not.
I have all the boilerplate left-leaning positions like we need secure borders.
Target otherwise hardworking, migrants that are a very important part of our economy, specifically like in my state in agriculture too, or tourism, or these other kinds of positions too, trying to find the right balance of secure a border, deport all the criminals, but stop targeting otherwise innocent kinds of migrants here, including my family. My wife was a former dreamer. Yeah.
Right. But that's my point is, so they are targeting those people and they are, there have been killings, and even Homan has admitted that the training on the killing in I can't remember if it was Maine or if it was the one in Minnesota. There's quite a few of them. So I guess my question to you is, you're agreeing with the majority, I think, of Democrats on that, but not agreeing.
I've been very clear, vocal,
right, but not agreeing with their method of how do
But the problem is, you can't say that you're a Democrat and you have all the boilerplate positions, and then the second you get the opportunity to, you just regurgitate right-wing talking points or right-wing framing. If you're claiming to be on the left, and this should be true of the right-wingers, like right-wingers understand this, right-wingers lose when they accept left-wing framing. So why do Democrats think that they should accept right-wing or Republican framing and that they should still win and that they're on the left? It's not something that happens with Republicans. Republicans don't say, well, it's not that I don't, don't like trans people. I just, I need to know that I'm with you guys on that. They don't do that. They don't do that because it's losing. This isn't even about what your moral stance is at this point, or what you think is morally reprehensible. This is just about winning. You're not going to win an election or win public support if you're just constantly espousing what the other side wants. Republicans don't give ground on things. They don't say, well, I really just want to help all of the queer people. I just think we should be they don't say that. What? They literally don't say that. They just say, no, we need to get these psychopaths. We need to get the litter boxes out of the schools. And then, so when Fetterman does it, it's this isn't even, why do you think you're unlikable? Why do you think people on the left don't like you? It's because you keep insisting on accepting Republican framing and saying we need the secure borders. It's in an attempt to virtue or vice signal to Republicans. It's not effective for winning support on your side. Hello, is that just me? I don't feel this is, well, I guess he has had a stroke. But other Democrats that haven't had strokes don't understand this. Sorry, this chatter made me happy. I don't watch streams normally. The only thing I knew of this girl was from negative posters like Asmongold, I think. But now I'm how the hell did I not know she was probably cool as fuck? I hate to see a bad bitch winning. It's just so hard having all the bitches in the world, and lobster's so buttery. They gotta cope and seethe, Oh, God.
Democrats influence that if the Trump administration is running roughshod over what you just said? They're not just doing the criminals. They've deported citizens or they've jailed citizens. They've taken immigration, which was generally a civil concern, and made it a criminal concern. They want to build giant warehouses where they just bring people that are there on civil violations, or what used to be civil violations.
And this is why, by the way, people like Mamdani and they like Abdullah Sayed, and why they like the hardcore left-leaning people. It's because they don't accept the Republican framing. It's not an effective strategy to accept your opposition's framing. And this feels basic for us, but somehow Democrats don't understand it, or they just pretend this is why everyone thinks that Democrats actively try to lose. Because, again, Republicans don't do this. Republicans don't say, no, it's not that I have a problem with trans people. I just think that we should make sure that schools are protected and there are no kids. No, they just go straight to, we shouldn't be pushing this mental illness on our children. That's what they go straight to. They don't talk about immigration and say, it's not. It's I really care about immigrants in this country. Immigrants have made this country. We are the home. We are a country made by immigrants for immigrants. They don't say that. When Republicans want to win, they say, we need secure borders. We need to get rid of every single illegal immigrant that is ruining this country. The illegal immigrants that are killing you and your family members. It's whoa. So why the fuck, if it's not an effective strategy, why are we doing that? Why do Democrats insist on running on this messaging that immediately accepts a faulty premise and concedes? Why are we already beginning with concession?
So if they can't use things like a threat of a shutdown, where would you suggest they use their lack of power?
Well, I work with the new Secretary Mullen, and now all of those warehouses in Pennsylvania were canceled. I mean, that's a fact. And shut the government down on that. There wasn't one single ICE reforms or anything. Like, you can want reforms and you can engage in those dialogue, but shutting the government down when that has zero impact on the way Homeland Security is going to operate, because they were funded through the big, beautiful bill. The thing that I did not vote for that as well, too. They had unlimited money. So for me, it was a decision. Said, should I just vote to shut our government down, even though every single Democrat in my caucus knew that it would have no direct or even indirect leverage over ICE to behave the way that we all want them to do? So do that. That's a demand from an agitated, angry base. And I'm willing to say, look, that's the wrong thing. That's the wrong solution for a reasonable conversation to have with people saying we want to make those kind of changes for ICE.
So what is the way to make those?
Again, like I'm just being a broken record right now. This is just, why begin on a concession? Why? It's just not been an effective strategy. So why keep doing it? I don't understand.
Changes, because my understanding of the shutdown was they were saying we will shut it down unless you make those changes, not that somehow that those changes would be made because it wasn't funded. I understand that that's what you're saying, but that was the threat.
Yeah, and there was no forced any kinds of things. So we, the Democratic caucus there walked away with empty pockets about shutting our government down on both sides. So it's a reasonable kinds of concerns, but it's the wrong tool or the solution in order to achieve it. Win elections, and then that puts you in the better position to make those kind of changes.
I think that's enough for today. I think that's enough for today. You know what? That's enough. That's enough for today. All right, we'll pick it up tomorrow. Dude, I see why. I've never seen the comments of a Jon Stewart video be so one-sided against like the guest. It's crazy. Actually, I'm sure if you look at like the Jon Stewart talking to Mamdani, let's see the comments. Let's see. Save these two men at all costs. Mamdani actually seems like a normal person, not talking in circles. It's nice to hear everyone in this city deserves to live a life of dignity. How radical. Emotional intelligence is something so incredibly rare these days. I respect his ability to really listen and learn from even those who deride him. He smiles and moves forward, even though there are people who will wish him ill and will want him to fail. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for showing us all what is possible. He's incredibly smart. Can we have more like, do you see the night and day? Oh my god. Okay, that's enough of that.